What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Overwatch Coach VOD review. Today we're going to review a Gold 1 Symmetra player. And they write, "Hi everybody, I'm a new player with Overwatch 2 and I have been OTPing Sim this season. I don't know what OTPing means, but I'm going to assume it's one-tricking. But I've never heard that acronym before. I'm going to skip a line so I don't spoil the game. Things I have been working on include target priority and changing playstyles once the enemy team begins to expect whatever I started with, i.e. if I'm getting good success but begin to get countered with turret bombing and backlining portals, transitioning to poking, turret trapping, or brawling. Thanks in advance. Excited to hear about my hidden ignorance." Okay, so yeah, things to look for Sim is knowing when to hold in your right clicks and shooting off the orbs, knowing when to start beaming targets down, using your teleporter to both make space, maybe flank, setting up good turret positions, maybe even shooting some turrets through the teleporter to flank somebody, getting your teammates in position with the teleporter, putting the sentries in good spots, all that good stuff. Those are all keys to playing a good Symmetra. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, it says player is tipsy, but there's no tipsy in here, but there is this Sim, and I did kind of skip around just to make sure nobody swaps at all to Sim, and this is the only Sim in the game, so I'm going to assume you posted an alt account in your Reddit post, and you're Nettles in this game, hopefully, because you're the only Sim in here, so I'm assuming this is it. Hopefully it is. So, this is our Sim, hopefully. Oh, I'm on the wrong color. Let me okay, this is our Sim. So, Symmetra on this map is not terrible, because there's a lot of high ground that you can take advantage of. So the only way to get up there easily is by teleporting up there. And playing Symmetra with a bunch of heroes on your team that don't have high mobility, on a map like this can be necessarily like a godsend. Say for example, you're playing with like a Moira, or in this case, you're playing with a Zen. Now, Zen is probably going to be regulated to pushing the cart, but let's just pretend you've got, like, let's say a Moira on your team. Moira is, for all intents and purposes, pretty terrible on Dorado once you get out of the first point, and she can be kind of terrible at the beginning of the first point as well. Once you kind of get through that choke, then she's not too bad for a little while. But then once you kind of make that second turn after capturing the first point, high ground becomes king pretty much the rest of the way of the second point. And Moira can't do much to contest that. She can't do much about healing the people that try to contest it. So one thing you can do if you're a DPS player, and you're playing with a bunch of people that lack vertical mobility, is you can throw a teleporter down and boom, all of a sudden now they can get up there and they can start helping contest up there, getting up there, healing you up there, that sort of a thing. So I do like Sim on this map if played with, a certain level of intelligence, with a certain level of giving your team accessibility. Like you're playing with an Orisa, for example, so the Orisa lacks that vertical mobility. With a teleporter, all of a sudden, boom, she's up there in a heartbeat, and she can do some pretty vicious things, I would imagine. So let's see if you do that. And again, knowing when to right click, knowing when to left click, setting up good sentry spots, that's all going to be stuff we're going to be looking at here. So let's dig into this and see what we got. So your right-click aim seems like it needs a little work because you've been shooting low, and it's like you were hitting the wall here, you hit the wall here, so your aim is definitely needing a little bit of work. That sentry there probably not going to do much unless they drop down. All right, just on a slight sidetrack, I've been noticing in certain games where my matchmaking has given me lower tier teammates, a lot of people on defense pick a fight like right in this vicinity, and I don't understand for the life of me why they do that. So why the team you're up against is choosing to fight here is just beyond me. I don't understand this. I don't get why this is becoming a thing. I would prefer to see people playing high ground and then dropping behind the choke and then holding the cart at the choke for as long as possible. Because this map has one of the easiest chokes to hold that's currently in Overwatch without all the 2CP maps in it. I don't get why people do this. So I'm loving the beam here. The only thing I would say is, once you get to about right here, and the Mercy's heal beaming your Rhine, you're not going to kill this Rhine easily because this shield looks like it's at virtually full health outside of just what you've done to melt it. Now, you are going to be able to melt that shield infinitely, but the Rhine's going to get healed while this is going to take some time to burn down, and he's probably going to get healed enough where he's going to be able to pressure you. So one thing you could do is throw a turret or a sentry. I'm going to be mixing up my vocabulary between turret and sentry for these things frequently. So whichever term you're used to, that's what I mean when I say turret or sentry. But anyway, you could throw like one there, and then he's going to get beamed. Or you could even throw it like here and here. Because that even there will give range to the Rhine, and then you might be able to melt him, and all of a sudden where his shield isn't going to matter, and he's either going to have to turn to address the sentries, or he's going to have to just eat it, basically. And then once the sentries are down, then you just go back to beaming them down like you're doing right now. See how he's just able to back away freely and... Okay, you still killed him, but you might have been able to do it a little quicker. So places that I like to throw sentries at here would be here, 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 here. Places like this that kind of set up like when they try to come back to recontest or push back into taking ground. Places like this tend to beam them down a bit. Let's see if I can see another spot here.
Constructing my teleporter.
Okay. The ledge right here, I like to sometimes try to get one there as well. You know how there's like this little spot right here that they can stand on, sometimes putting one like right there or right there when it kind of starts jutting back out. Those can be spots too that I like to throw them in. Sometimes I'll put one here. Yeah, all of that is kind of like where I like to throw sentries. Places where like they're going to walk in and then all of a sudden start getting beamed down and they won't necessarily expect it. And then they're going to have to kind of turn around, look up, look in ways that they're not going to normally look, and then shoot them down from there. You're not fully charging your right click, so I get that sometimes you got to just get the shot off, but just keep in mind that that's not something you want to get too much into a bad habit on, because you're not getting full damage out of it. Not the end of the world, but you know. Yeah, so like that turret or sentry there isn't going to do anything. They're just going to turn and shoot it. You got to get sneakier with these things. I like that you threw one through your sentry. Oh, your teleport. Sorry, I am misspeaking everything here. But your sentry through your teleport. I like that you did that. Unfortunately, it's like right in front of somebody, so it's probably just going to die right away. Usually you want to do those more like on a flank where they're not looking for it, and then you want to have the sentries down on the ground first, and then put the teleport over where you put them down on, and then they'll go through it from there. And then all three of them go at once, and then they just, boom, they're instantly beaming somebody down, and you catch them off guard. One thing I would suggest, since you've got your sim wall down, put the sentries behind the sim wall. Depending on how close you want to put it to the sim wall is up to you, but put them behind the shield so that as they start to try to approach the wall, they're going to get beamed by extra turrets that they can't shoot without crossing the wall. So that's either going to force them away from the wall, or they're going to force them to dive you. And then at that point, your team can kind of go in and out of the wall, you know, in and out, and use the wall to your advantage that way. But those sentries, if you throw them off too far off to the wall into where the enemy is, they're just going to shoot them down right away. Oof. Yeah, you don't want to get into those kind of fights with a Hanzo. You put a wall down. I don't know why you're not using it. You should be staying behind your wall, playing to its advantage. I mean, that's why you put it down, right?
Revelations have come to light.
Enemy turret just blew up.
I have opened the bath.
I have a bad feeling about this.
What's up? I've got a few tricks.
Are you satisfied with your protection?
Constructing the teleporter.
So the one thing I would say is communicate with your team that there's a teleporter up there, because you would like to see maybe more of your teammates up there with you. Oh, that's a good Junkrat tire. Your Junkrat's carrying this fight. Alright, so that sentry's not deep enough. What I would like to see you do is something like this, this, and this. If you think they're going to go high ground, then you can maybe do like 2 here and then, you know, one of these spots over here. But something somewhere, some kind of lineup like this, you might even maybe put one like right there, and then that spot could kind of cover both if you wanted to do the 2 up here. But some form of a lineup like this is what I would like to see under this circumstance, where the Junkrat basically just killed everybody by himself, and now you guys have free reign to push the cart and pick the next fight right here. The other thing you could do too is there is that spot right here. I find most people don't go up there. I mean, you'll probably get like maybe a hit scan player that maybe will go up there, but you're not going up against any hit scans. So worst case scenario, Torb goes up there. But if you are in a game where there's snipers or medium to long range hit scan, you might take this kind of sentry lineup and maybe go like here, here, and here or something like that, because this high ground can be kind of a pain in the butt to contest for Sim or just for anybody on the attack side. I find that this high ground spot usually is the trickier one to keep enemies off of. But yeah, some form of a sentry lineup to this right here is what I would like to be seeing. So right now I would push cart and then put a teleport back to the high ground that you're currently at, and then start going back up here once you've kind of helped push the cart along a little bit. Now it's too late, but that would have been something I would have done like instantly after getting the sentries set up. The sentry you put down, it's a little low, so you know, think of it from their perspective. They come out of that choke and, oh, I'm getting beamed. They look off to the left or to the right, and they're not really having to aim up to shoot at something. They're pretty much just aiming at kind of ground level, you know, or not ground level, but like, you know, base level, and then maybe up a little bit. So they're just instantly killing it. Whereas if you're putting it high ground, they got to turn around, look up, boom, 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 and then spin back around. Meanwhile, you can shoot them in the back. That's kind of the idea with those sentries. Or they ignore them, and then they keep pushing in on you, but meanwhile, they're getting beamed down and slowed, and then you can land your right clicks into them. So other spots you could do if you start pushing into that choke, you could put them up on these pillars, you know, because you've got one there and then you've got another one there, and you could put it up there. And then if you got like 2 sentries on one pillar, one on the other, that's going to be another spot that's going to be tricky for them to take out the sentries for. Because like when a Mei ice cubes and you basically got her dead to rights, you just got to wait it out. Set up a bunch of sentries around her, you know, put one on the ground, put one high, put one there. She's not going to be able to kill all of this while she's also getting beamed by you. I mean, she has to make a decision at that point. Is she going to take out the sentries, or is she going to go for you? She'll probably go for the sentry. So if she does that, you know, surround her with a bunch of ones where she's got to look all over the place to kill. But that's what I'd like to be seeing here. And also, beaming the ice cube is just burning your ammo. You're below half on your ammo. So, you know. See, like how you put that sentry right in range of her. She's already looking in that direction, so the sentry just dies immediately. Imagine if you had all those sentries set up the way I gave you that allotment to do, and then she'd be spinning all over the place, killing them before she'd even be looking at you. Now, also keep in mind your ammo's low, so you've been beaming at an ice cube that doesn't do anything. You just wait it out. You still got the kill, but you could have done it more efficiently and would probably have more HP at the end of it. You might die to this Kiriko if that Kiriko could aim, and maybe you didn't have your team behind you. But, you know, it worked out. Okay, good job beaming down the Mercy. So, sentries I'd like to see here. Basically, you know, something like that. You could maybe do one like that, kind of off to the distance. If you feel like they're going to come out from here, you could do something like here, here, and here. Usually, though, they come out from here, though. You know, this doorway here. So I usually try to come out with this allotment over something like that. But, you know, depends what they're doing. Yeah, so see, like, those sentries aren't going to do anything. You're not really getting good value from your sentries. Yeah, so that's a good one. So, yeah, like, if you do that, and then here and here, or, like, off to the side of that pillar, those are all good spots that I like to see for this kind of spot right here. Don't like this wall, I don't think. Unless you guys retreat. That sentry pointless. So yeah, this sim wall is not no good, in my opinion. No good. I don't think I would have even sim walled there just at all. But I would have pulled it back more if you were really going to do it, and then, like, retreat. Good right click. Because I'd probably have held your sim wall for, like, as they come out of spawn on this next push. Yeah, these sentries here probably won't do anything. Especially now that they're running Winston. But, like, I don't like you being here. This is dangerous. Yeah, that got you killed. That's bad positioning. You're way too far up. You should have just stayed with the cart. And now as they're coming out, imagine you kept your sim wall and you stayed with the cart, and all of a sudden the sim wall goes right down here, or even right down here, just a vertical right through one of those areas. And then on top of that, you add your sentries right there. So they get beamed as they're coming out, and then all of a sudden they've got a sim wall to also fight through. it's gonna be rough for them if you do something like that. What you did was nothing. You fed. We're just gonna watch this fight while you get back here. Yeah, those sentries aren't terrible. That one not so much. But yeah, good kills, good cleanup.
Score.
From imperfection,
Ready
we
for
build
battle.
a new world.
Okay. So what I normally do
Ready for battle.
on defense is I do go to this spot that you're standing at, and what I'll do is I'll do one there, and one there. So that way when they come through that choke, they start getting beamed down, and all while they're coming through there, I'm just throwing right clicks down that way. Once they burn through those sentries, I don't put any new ones down, and I save them. Hold on. And I go over here. And then what I do is I do 1, I do 2, and I do 3. And the reason I put 2 here is because if they flank and come up here and flank around here and say you have some kind of lineup like this, and this, they're going to be able to kill that standing right here. But if you have them here, like say 2 of them here and then 1 there, yeah, they might kill this one, but there's going to be 2 more right there waiting for them. And then you can always put 3 here too if you need to. But typically I like to kind of space them out a little bit and make them look around and all that. Because once they push through this choke, if you got it coming from both directions, you're going to have 2 lanes, right? One on this side, one on that side. And it's going to be easy for you to right click down both of them. And whichever lane they choose, as they come through, there's going to be sentries beaming them down. And if they don't take high ground, then you can start looking at beaming from up above. But the second they start taking high ground, this spot up here does not work. So things to keep in mind for playing defense on Dorado, because Sim on Dorado is extremely strong if you play this choke. This choke is one of the easiest to hold in all of Overwatch, especially with a Sim or a Torb, especially. And I play Sim very aggressive on this choke, and we'll cover this choke as the game goes on if you do anything remotely close to what I just showed. Where are you? There you go. All right, let's see what you do.
1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
So yeah, I like that one sentry you put down, but I don't really know what you're doing with the other ones. I only see 2. Do you only have 2 down? You've got a 3rd one down. I don't know where you have it. Yeah, so the one thing I'll say though is you want to keep your sentries relatively close together. One sentry by itself isn't really going to do anything other than just kind of be a little annoyance. It's like a little mosquito buzzing around, like, okay, boom, it's dead. You know, you swat it away, boom, it's dead. But if you've got 3 together, you might get a pick. If not a pick, if it's on a squishy target, you might get them down to half, and then all of a sudden a well-placed right click, and boom, they're dead. Kill the lamp. Kill the lamp. There you go. So, yeah, I would not commit more sentries to holding down here. I would just get your right clicks in while you can and then look for a tactical retreat. And you might already consider doing the tactical retreat considering you're kind of close to half health. And you've got a bunch of one-shot DPS that have been looking your way a little bit here. You don't want to die. You definitely want to get that defense set up. That sentry kind of pointless unless you're expecting the Hanzo or the Soldierin to come up there, but I wouldn't be committing more sentries to holding down where they're currently at.
Sentry in position.
Yeah, see, you died here. This is not a spot you need to be dying at all. You should have made a tactical retreat down to here, set up your sentries for this choke, and you and your team collectively should be trying to hold this choke. Neither team made any effort at holding the toughest spot to push through in all of Overwatch. And I have been playing games and seeing people doing the same exact thing, and I don't understand this at all. This is completely beyond me. Why teams aren't trying to play for this choke? Because imagine now, if all of your team, including you, fell back to this spot, and as they're pushing through here, they've got sentries hitting them from every direction. Now imagine you've got a tank frontlining this, and then as they're frontlining it, this cart doesn't move. And now you've got 2 lanes to shoot down with right clicks. You got 2 lanes that it's just easy right clicks down this lane. And as they push through, they've got sentries. And then when they start to kill the sentries, you just keep throwing more of them down. And if the tank dies, then, or if he starts falling back and starts giving up positioning, play in front of the cart. As close as you can, play in front of it. The sentries will cover you, and as soon as you've got your ultimate, commit it to this choke. It's a giant shield. If you commit a wall down here and you keep holding by the cart is a shield. You can ult and throw a shield down. Your sentries can cover you, you know, depending on where you put them. Here, I'll tell you what, I'll do it like this. The X's are position 1. And the circles are position 2. But just imagine here, and then what we'll do is the square that I'll put down, that's you. That's your positioning. Sim or tank. I'll put a T below it. Sim or tank frontlining this cart. And you just hold this. It's so hard to push through this if your team does it together. All you need is at least 4 of your 5 people doing this, and this becomes really difficult to push through. And the enemy team didn't do this, and your team didn't do this. And I do not understand why people aren't doing this. This map is incredibly strong for Symmetra if you play that way. If you don't play that way, this map becomes really weak.
Focus.
Because there are spots down here that you can set up and try to hold with, but it's not as easy as that choke that we just went through.
Materialized.
And just for the OGs that used to play Sim in Overwatch 1, I miss that teleporter not staying there. Yeah, because that used to get everybody back so fast. And holding this area with that teleporter staying there forever, oh, that was so great. There was even a trick. You know what? We're gonna sidetrack for a little bit. There was a trick. This trick still exists, by the way, but now that the teleporter doesn't just last forever, it's kind of not worth doing anymore. But if you stood up here and you had a Mei, and you stood like about right, I think it was like right here, or pretty close to here. If the Mei put an ice wall like this, and you put the teleporter right at the edge of it, and then the Mei, let me get off my pen here. then if the Mei takes the ice wall and throws it down or destroys it, the teleporter that landed right here, it will slide down this ceiling and it'll land like right here. And it'll stay from back over here, back over to around that pillar, all the way over there. I used to do that all the time in Overwatch 1 with the duo that I would play with. You would get extra distance off of it. You can still do that in Overwatch 2. The only problem is the teleporter doesn't last forever until the enemy team kills it now, kind of a thing. So you can do it, but the value of that little trick doesn't really exist like it used to. But I'll just throw that out there as a little fun tidbit for anybody that wants to know that.
Positioning turret.
So, all right, in terms of sentries to put here, usually what I like to do when that choke has been lost, but you can still fight in the courtyard, what I usually like to do is I like to get sentries on the back end of this sign. This triangle area right here is good for putting sentries, and then the back end of here is good, so that triangle right there. There's that sign over there. And then the upper portion of this wall can be really good as well. Those are usually the spots that I'll try to regulate all of my sentries going to. I don't necessarily start this fight by throwing sentries down, though. I kind of wait for the fight to get chaotic, and then I put the sentries down, and then you tend to catch them off guard with it. But yeah, those could be some good sentry spots for you. Meanwhile, what you're doing is you're leading the fight with the sentries. They don't have anything to shoot at other than you and then the sentries they see. So I would be looking for, where is your tank right now? Your tank's coming out of spawn. So you're kind of, you're frontlining basically. And as a sim, it's going to be rough to frontline. Now, if you throw your sim wall down, then that could be different. But then I wouldn't put the sentries in the spots I've shown you. Then I would start throwing them like kind of down where the sim wall goes. So yeah, this wall here isn't going to do anything because you're being pushed back and it's wasted. I would have looked at holding that wall, frankly. If your tank was with you and then you guys could have actually contested the cart, then I would have committed that sim wall. But because it's just basically you and Junkrat there, it wasn't worth it. You might have been able to maybe make it work if you laid the sim wall down immediately and then tried to use it to your advantage. But frankly, they're probably just going to walk right through it and then kill you guys. So holding it for the next team fight would have been the better way to go. You haven't really gotten any value from your sim walls as of yet. Just gonna throw that out there, and you've gotten very minimal value from your sentries. So in terms of setting up a defense over here, I don't really like what I'm seeing from you here either. I don't necessarily play high ground here either. I would look at doing something like this. Set up a sentry here, here, and here. But make sure, when you put the sentry, make sure it's on that portion of this area. You want it kind of off to the side a little bit. Another thing you can do is you can put one here, here, and here. And then as they come through, they'll start getting beamed from over here, and you might get a pick. You might. I usually don't get picks from the sentries here, but it makes them look off in a direction that they might not normally be looking, and then it might open things up for your team to get a pick. But just throwing that out there as different ways to set up a defense. What you're doing, I don't think I would suggest doing. Unless you see them looking to contest high ground, it doesn't really feel like this enemy team is going to do that. Better teams will definitely try to do that, though. But I would look at using your sentries to contest the cart more, and then putting your teleporter to high ground, because you right now don't even have a teleporter down. You could be getting your teammates up here, and then trying to get a team fight from this high ground. What you're doing here, I don't advocate. I would be using your teleporter to get the rest of your team up to where you're at, and then maybe you guys drop down together. You're operating as a lone gunman right now, and that's not likely going to work. Let's see if I'm wrong, but yeah, see, your Junkrat is carrying again. Your Junkrat has been carrying this game. I would just jump down and duel that. Okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure why your Lucio just beat dropped. That felt like a complete waste, but I would have just jumped down and dueled that Moira. You should have been able to kill her. The fact that she got out and you just stayed up here sniping away I don't understand that. Because it's not like, it's almost like you're overvaluing being on high ground. It's not like you can't just put a new teleporter down and just go right back up to this spot again.
No time for whinging. Move out! Get out! Turret materialized.
So, actually, that brings up what you're doing here, brings up a good point. You don't have sentries set up. Like, they fell back, right? So they can only really come from one spot. They're either going to come from, well, there's 4 doors they can come through, but likely they're either going to come from this door, or this alleyway. So how do you set up a turret situation for that? What I usually do is I put sentry there, I put a sentry here, and I put a sentry there. Let me clean this up. So like right here, on this upper spot, right there would be one, right there and right there. That's usually what I would do, something like that. If you see them all coming down that way, or if you got an inclination they're going to do that, then boom, 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 something like that. But you don't have any sentries set up for them as they're respawning and pushing back in for the next team fight. I don't know why you don't do that.
Outnumber us.
So another thing is you don't have a teleporter down to get your team to high ground. Don't know why you're not doing that either. Good kill. I don't mind that kind of a teleport. That was pretty good, and then you used it to get back out. That's not bad. I don't know why you jumped down from the high ground though, because you're very low and your healer's with you. Like, jumping down, like, this is suicidal. If they weren't all right here and you jump down, what I would like to see is sentries right here, here, and here. Because this can be another tough choke for them to push through if there's a Symmetra playing defense here. But not you frontlining with 71 HP by yourself. But I'm saying, like, as a team, you guys could be doing that. Like, you guys as a team haven't been playing together at all. I haven't really seen you guys as a team pick a team fight yet, which is very sloppy Overwatch gameplay. I know it said you're new. You need to be picking more team fights and getting your team together with you, because this is 2 chokes that can be very difficult to push through. The first one more so than that second one, but the second one can be tricky too. And you've gotten no value from playing Sim on any of these chokes. Now, I don't know why you're not teleporting to high ground and getting back to your team. You're playing a spawn room that doesn't exist anymore, and now you're just asking to die to a Moira who just killed you. That is embarrassing for you. That should not have happened at all. Let me rewind here a little bit. You should be able to outduel a Moira with the beam upgrade that Sim has gotten recently. You should be able to just beam her down. So right here, this is where you're about to make your first mistake. If you teleport, you have it, it's right there. Teleport right there, or to that other high ground that's right over there. Either one. And then guess where you're going to go if you teleport there? You go right back to your team and where your spawn is. Or if you teleport from right here, all of a sudden, now you've got a high ground on the enemy and you can get right clicks, and if you're low, you just fall back and return to your team. That's what you should have done. We're just going to fast forward because we know. Because there's where you are, you're fiddling around and then you don't do anything and you stagger yourself. Meanwhile, all of this is happening and your team does not have you. So, had you have played right here, I like putting sentries in these little divots. They can be kind of annoying. The other thing I like to do is these pillars can be good for sentry spots, or right here, this side of the bridge can be really good, and then also right along here. All of that is great sentry spots. And none of that's getting used because of your poor positioning that got you picked, and now you're just super staggered in this fight. Like, you're not even a part of it. Meanwhile, your Junkrat is carrying again. Like, your Junkrat's doing everything for this team. The only reason this game has even been close is your Junkrat. So, now that you guys have reestablished position, I would like to see sentries along here, probably. But if they start coming through here and around, considering where the cart is, I would go back to these divot spots. That's what I would do. I don't think I would play the doorways up over here. I would keep it more toward where the cart is. But that's just me. That's what I would do. If you want to throw the sentries over by the doorway, guarding the high ground, I wouldn't necessarily fault you for it. It's just more of a preference at that point. But the sentries on these windows, I'm not a big fan of, because if they come through here, they're just going to see them and they're going to know they're there. And then as they come around, they'll just know to shoot them. So these sentries need to move. That one I'm okay with. Not the greatest positioning, but I'm okay with that one. But these two, I mean, I get why you put them there initially, but now they need to move. Good accuracy hitting the BAP for the most part. You missed the killing blow though, but I don't really like that sim wall. What I would have suggested is a sim wall right down here, and then playing sentries here somewhere, some kind of formation of sentries like that, and then with the wall there holding this choke, and it's kind of the same choke as the first point, kind of, but again, you're not playing these chokes at all. No, you got a little value off of that sentry kill, so that's good, but it might be a little too late. I don't know what that teleporter is. So again, get your sentry set up in the position I would tell you to do. If you were worried about a back cap, then you might consider one here or right there or something like that. But primarily right there and here and there. That's primarily the spot I'm looking to put the sentries at. And maybe one back there just to, you know, give you a warning that somebody jumped up from behind somewhere. So the reason I don't like that sentry is because it's easily shootable. It's dangling down. You want it so that when they cross through this choke, then they get beamed down. I like the teleporter to high ground, that's good. Not a fan of that sentry, but we've covered that in detail at this point. So yeah, here's the problem that I have. No, okay, well, Junkrat's dead, but he's got tire. Junkrat saving his tire for Symmetra ult should definitely be a thing, because that's really the only thing you guys have going for you for killing Symmetra when he's ulting. Symmetra has one of the most oppressive ults in the game. And, okay, that's... Now you're going the wrong way. What, you know... Yeah, you falling that direction is inexcusable. You needed to die on cart and eat up as much time as possible. That's really not good.
Score.
I think this mission.
Okay, so same thing again with the sentry lineup. You know, around that archway. Your sentries are all over the place and they're not going to do anything.
Stop the payload.
I'm okay with you playing up here though, just as long as you have a teleporter set up for your escape and then you go back to that choke that I harped on.
Opened the bar. He moves so predictably. Placing a turret here. Watch yourself. Teleporter materialized.
60 seconds remaining.
Not a big fan of this positioning, and then again, you don't have your sentries. Once the fight starts, if you went up here, that would be fine, but starting at this spot puts you at a little bit of a disadvantage. In terms of sentry spots, if you're going to play here, would maybe be like something like down here on the floor. You actually could probably put them on top of here and they might get some kind of cheeky, you know, line of sight on that Orisa. But starting at this spot, not a big fan of it. Coming here once the fight starts, then yeah, maybe. So you kind of do what I just suggested, except you're playing them a little too far forward and they're going to get shot. You want them to kind of be back a little bit so they're not easily killed. No. 2 people on the enemy team are dead. They're falling back. That wall is not needed. You would want to save that for a full-on team fight where they're pushing. This is too much commitment for this close. I don't get why so many people are playing like this. I'm not a fan of overly committing to this close to the enemy spawn. Just not a fan of it. In terms of like ult committing, I would have kept that sim wall. Definitely would have kept it. Yeah, I like that teleporter. Hopefully people take it because you guys are in a rough spot here. You guys need to fall back to that choke we've been harping about. Yeah, this is... oh, goodness. Okay, this is really... You seem really confused on what to do here. So, number one, I wouldn't have even teleported to their backline, but since we're here... what I would have done is, come on, I would have laid sentries on the floor, and then I would have started beaming the bastion, and then from there, probably teleport out if I either go low or if they start turning around and focusing me, and then I would teleport back out. You seemed very confused. Your beam was all over the place and wasn't really tracking on anybody, and now you're right-clicking where you could have a fully charged beam by this point, or pretty close to it. See, now you've wasted so much time, your teleporter's down, and now you're just in the back line. And that choke we've been harping about, they're going to get through it no problem unless you start getting picks or the antis and you take advantage of it. And you commit another ult. Why? Why are we committing ults here? It's just you. Yeah, no, that ult was a no. You would have wanted to hold it back to that choke how we talked about.
New revelations have come to light.
Okay, at least you got a pick. Oops. But once they take the point, you don't want to be fighting down there. Because their spawn room is right there, and they're already respawned, and they're not that far from the cart. You've got a long way to go, so that pick isn't a fair trade-off. By the time you get back to the fight, that Bastion's basically in the fight right now. You're not.
Constructing my teleporter. Placing a turret here.
Yeah, starting with sentries is a no-go. You would have wanted to get maybe to like right over here and then drop them down. But every sentry you just put is going to die because your team isn't pushing in yet. Okay, good use of using a teleporter to get out of an Orisa ult. That was good. Okay, so you set up the sentries to watch high ground. Considering the situation that's going on, they're all playing cart, so you would have wanted to set up those sentries in some of those lineups we've already talked about. Yeah, just beam the Orisa down. Beam her down, beam her down. Okay, she got off the cart. So yeah, Sim Beam melts Orisas. She can't do anything to block it other than just armor herself and try to eat it and hope that you die. So if you're up against an Orisa as a Symmetra, you want to be left clicking more than right clicking when it comes to fighting Orisa.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
So teleporting to here can be dangerous because if you're up against any one-shot characters, they can see you coming when they're playing in a safe spot. Luckily for you, that's not happening, but this is a dangerous teleporter when you're up against better teams. Yeah, I don't think you had a plan on what you were doing, and it kind of showed. That was very convoluted what you did, and you really got no value, and you just put yourself in a position to get picked. If I were you, I would have just played the cart with your team, and then put a teleporter down if you needed to get to high ground, or dive a hero, like a support hero that might be playing high ground, like an Ana or a Bap. In this case, Baptista's up there, so you could have put a teleporter up there for your team to go dive the Baptiste and then return back to cart. Instead, you kind of just, you know, went up there thinking that was the play to do without really seeing what they're actually doing first. Just play with your team. Play with your team. Get some good beams going. Right clicks when there's no beams available to you. That was a good flank. I like that flank. However, you needed to get out the second that Moira was dead. The second that Moira was dead, you should have been going back for that teleporter and getting out like the second she was dead. It was a good flank, but it turned into an overextent in like a heartbeat.
I finish my projects.
Let the keep guide you.
Okay, good job beaming the Orisa. Beam the Moira. That sim wall would have been valuable there. Hopefully your team can keep this going. Did that sim wall land in a good spot? Hold on. Where did that sim wall actually go? That doesn't look like it's in... No, that's in a terrible spot. Hold on.
Remaining. 10 seconds.
Where? Why are you putting that there? Why wouldn't you throw it right down on the cart? That's where the fight is. You're putting it so far off to the left that it does nothing. That shield did nothing. You didn't get any value from any of your ultimates. Yeah. Okay, so number one, play chokes. 2, alt usage needs a lot of work. And 3, sentry placement. These would be the 3 hugest things you need to work on for your Symmetra gameplay. Honestly, if I had to grade your sim from what I just watched, that's a C-. That's barely passable. There's a lot to be worked on for this sim, and I hope that this VOD review gave you a clear avenue of different things to look for. There's one person I would point you to for watching in terms of a streamer, and that's Steve-O. Steve-O is a sim one trick, and he's very good at it. He doesn't stream that much anymore, but when he does, I would encourage you to watch his streams if you haven't. If he has any VODs up on his channel, I would encourage you to maybe just sit down and watch them. It might give you some ideas on how to play sim a little bit more advantageous. But anyway, I hope this VOD review was helpful. And thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.